Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is Friday. Happy Friday! And thank goodness it's Friday. Friday is date day for my hubby and I, so we had a wonderful day today, spending time together because both of us work a lot of hours, and this guarantees us the chance to spend time together and catch up, which is what we did. And we also went for an amazing lunch, and my husband loves to eat and I love to cook. I love cooking almost as much as I love crafting and art making. So for me, it's another creative outlet. So today we went and picked up all sorts of ingredients for all sorts of dishes, which I'll make this weekend, which we both really love. He loves to do it with me because he enjoys the experience, but really, he just likes to eat. So he was very excited by what we bought today. And then I had to come back and remove myself from all sorts of spicy scents and I don't know what, and a day of sweating and grossness in many ways. It's one of the things I realize how spoiled I am from living in a Western world. I'm so accustomed to moving from air-conditioned place to air-conditioned place that even in the heat of New York summer, which can be really hot and humid, folks, like super hot and humid, I'm still really spoiled because I'm going in and out of AC all the time. And I don't end up coming home smelling like lunch and tobacco and cumin and cinnamon and all sorts of things. But what ends up happening inevitably is that I come home and regardless of whether or not I showered that morning, I need another one because every part of me smells like the experience I just had. So I was saying to my husband today, we are so spoiled. At home, this would be a no-brainer for all of us. Those of us that are a little bit OCD about personal cleanliness, we would just be constantly showering. But here there's a water shortage, and so people have to be cognizant of how much water they're using. So taking a shower twice a day here is a big luxury. It's a big luxury. But when we have a whole day out like that, listen, and this is without any judgment. Listen, I'm a kid of the 70s. I grew up in a household with two smokers. But they smoked in the car, my parents, they smoked everywhere. I'm not bothered by cigarette smoke at all. But I know that much of America has rejected cigarette smoking. And there's been a whole thing about it. Well, here, people still smoke in restaurants, cafes, bars. They smoke in the stores. So when I go to buy fabric and trim, they're often smoking. So if you get a package from me and it smells like weirdly like cinnamon and cumin and stale tobacco, that's why. It's just part of the culture here. And which is, it totally doesn't bother me because again, I grew up a kid in 1970, in the 70s. I know I'm dating myself. I told you guys I'm in my 40s, so I'm in my late 40s. So I grew up in an environment where every adult smoked. The doctors smoked, the nurses smoked, my hairdresser smoked while she was cutting my hair. I'm not kidding. I remember being in a hairdressing salon, going to get my hair cut. I think it was for like middle school graduation. Back then we called it junior high. And the hairdresser was spraying my hair with hairspray and smoking. And she had like a cigarette hanging out of the side of her mouth. Kind of like the film, how many of you have ever seen the film Steel Magnolias? Like that. That's what it was like. Like there was a cigarette hanging out of her mouth and she was like, I have curly hair, as I told you guys. So she was like trying to blow dry it out straight. And she had a cigarette dangling from her mouth and she was spraying it with hairspray. Today they would be worried that that would all go up in flames, but she was an expert and she knew how to do it without lighting me on fire, herself on fire. It's just the way it was. So I am not bothered by any of this stuff because I grew up in an environment where smoking was part of daily life. But I have to tell you, sometimes here I hear tourists complaining because they're not used to smoke being a part of daily life anymore. And so they'll be out at a cafe and they can't believe how many people here smoke. Or they can't believe at a coffee shop how many people are smoking. And I'm sure they're shocked when I go into a store and people are smoking. It's just part of the culture. But what it does mean at the end of a long day is that I come back and I am smelling of 50 spices from the markets and my hair and everything else. Thank goodness I don't have long hair here, folks. If I did, I cannot imagine what it would be like. For my autoimmune disease, I'm not supposed to wash my hair very often. I've broken it all summer, because you're not supposed to wash it. I can wet it and condition it in the shower every day, but I'm not supposed to wash it because it's bad for my illness. But I can't help it some days here. I'll come back and I swear to you, I smell like a roasted cauliflower. I'm not kidding. That's what I smell like sometimes in my hair. And I'm like, okay, that's got to go. So it's a pretty fun experience. But we had a fun day, such a fun day. The pup, thank you very much, all of you, for asking and again for texting. She's okay today. Today was an okay day, which is really encouraging. And she enjoyed herself, which makes me very, very happy. She's resting now because I guess it tuckered her out today. And I'm glad she's resting. But thank you for checking in. I really appreciate it. The one thing that we do know is that we are not going to know without further testing, which is not recommended for her at her age. So my vet from Florida, I think I mentioned yesterday, called me, and we're not going to know. Because unless I'm willing to do the invasive testing, they can't tell me if it's going to be 2 months, if it's going to be 2 weeks, or it's going to be 8 months. They just don't know. So I'm just going to make her as comfortable can be, and spend as much time with her as possible. And Jellybean had a great suggestion, and I'm so grateful to her because I wouldn't have even thought about it. But she suggested take as many pictures as I can. And that's what I've been doing. So thank you, Jellybean. That was such a thoughtful suggestion. Because, folks, you don't think about all those things. I'm still so heartbroken that I'm so focused on that, and my mind is so focused on that, that I'm not thinking about the need for photos after. So Jellybean, thank you. If you hadn't said something, I think I wouldn't have even thought to do that. This is, again, the blessing of friendships on here, folks. The blessing of friendships. I was so grateful to get that from Jellybean. I was so grateful because I was like, thank you. And for that conversation with Sabrina the other day, and I got this really lovely text from Alice. She is off doing a little traveling, and she found something really awesome in a craft section. She's like, look what I found. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. And she's like, I went back and got you one. And I was like, oh, that so thoughtful, so thoughtful. I think that these relationships are such a big blessing, and they better each of our lives, right? And I told you the other day that Carrie Martin checks up and now Pat on a regular basis. This is what this community can gift one another. And I think we are so very, very lucky to have one another. And I know we have a new subscriber, not so new anymore, but she's been coming on the last little while, and she also has autoimmune disease, and that's what caught her attention. I think that she noticed that I was talking about autoimmune and also making, and I think that actually surprised her, and so she came on because she's also living with autoimmune. And I told you guys, autoimmune has over 150 illnesses. They're not well understood, they're not well known, and sometimes in our community, it's a real small community, and people don't talk about it. It's what we call a silent illness or a silent disability. And so I think she was so shocked that here's someone on a channel that talks about art and autoimmune. And I told you, people in my everyday life don't really know how sick I am. And the reason for that is that I am more than my illness. But I think it is important on here because then people feel comfortable enough to share. Look how great Pat is. She's upfront about MS, living with MS, and her challenges with that. And that also enables us to be supportive of Pat. But I bet you other people in her life don't really know what she's living with. And that's very common for autoimmune. In the way that it used to be common for cancer and other illnesses, today we've learned that not to attach so much stigma. But, Sabrina was saying the other day that she kind of understands a little bit what it's like to live with a more silent disability because she had hurt her back and she was having mobility issues and she was thinking about, how she said she doesn't want to have to use a scooter, but her back is really bad. So, her husband went to get her a scooter and people gave her stink eye. They were like, lady, you look healthy. What the heck do you need that for, lazy girl? Yeah, not lazy. She's not supposed to be walking around at all. But you see, people gave her that eye. Because they look at her and they just assume, oh, she looks real healthy. Yeah, well, she's not. So I think sometimes talking about these things helps us have more awareness. Because, I think we don't realize, sometimes we see people pulling into parking lots with a disability certificate. And I know I have been with people who have done this, who have said, well, that person must have scammed their doctor because they look fine. And I've said, how do you know that person doesn't have a heart problem? How do you know that person hasn't had a stroke? How do you know that person isn't like me and living with autoimmune? You don't know. So I think when we talk about these things, the amazing thing that happens is we increase our awareness and our understanding and our compassion. And it leaves us more open so that the next time we see like a young, fairly healthy person pulling into that disability spot at Target, we don't immediately assume that they're scamming, right? Again, Alicia's soft-hearted. Of course, I'm always going to give people the benefit of the doubt. But I also know, because sometimes I look fine and I'm not, that what you see is not always what's true underneath. And so I love the fact that we chat about this sometimes on here. If it were every day, please never name this channel Autoimmune Crafting. That would make me gag. But I don't mind that we sometimes chat about it because I think it also enables other people to come forward and chat about some of their challenges. And look how we were able to give Pat some things to help her out so she could just focus on making and not hurt her hands or have to struggle because she has to plan for crafting. All of that only happened because we had an honest conversation about her autoimmune illness. So anyway, I had to throw that out there too. But I have to tell you guys something so funny. So, you know, the other night when I was staying up with my dog because I was worried. So I had already watched all your videos. So I went on and I was doing a little making while watching her, trying to keep myself busy so I didn't panic. And somehow the channel linked to some other channel I had never heard of. It was a crafting channel. Never heard of it. So the woman comes on. I realized how PG this channel really is. I was kind of shocked. Okay, so this is going to tell you a lot about Alicia, how naive sometimes I can be. I was really shocked. So this woman's coming on, she's doing her haul, she's opening up her stuff, and it's a bunch of great crafting stuff. And part of her great crafting stuff is also a box of plastic gloves. The kind that a lot of people use disposable gloves for cleaning, but these are like the fancier kind, like the thicker blue kind that you get at the doctor's office. And if it had been me, I just would have said, oh yeah, I got some gloves. What does she explain? Oh no, why does she have those gloves? She went into this whole explanation about her bathroom routine in the video, and I just cracked up laughing. It was kind of like a car wreck. I was like, don't look, don't look, don't look. But of course I had to look. And I realized how PG this channel really is. You know, there's not a lot of cussing, almost none. And that's just because I'm a writer and I believe if you use swear words, they should be to effect. So I don't swear a lot unless I want it for a specific stressed point. And it'll be so rare because it's just not in my nature. I was raised in a house where we weren't allowed to even say hell or damn. That was considered a swear word. So we weren't allowed to say any of those things. So even today when I say, oh damn, my mom looks at me and gives me the look like, why did you just swear? That's very rude. I'm not kidding. So I don't cuss much, if ever. And then I realized how PG I am from these topics. So she would proceed to explain how she uses these plastic gloves.
It's 7 o'clock.
And there's our man. There's our man for the restroom. And I was like, so we certainly can't call this channel like she's all in your business. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Because that's just not. I realized after watching some other channels, I am wholly PG. Oh, that shocked me about myself. Like, I had no concept that I was that PG until I saw some of these other channels, and I went, wow, wow. Listen, I want them to do them. Good for them. It made me more self-aware about who I am, especially because we're renaming the channel, that I was like, wow, clearly you are the family channel, because, yeah. Fun, though. It was fun. That's for sure. Seeing some other channels that I never watched was actually pretty interesting. And seeing how they interact with subscribers was interesting. I don't know how many of you go and check out these random other crafting channels, but some of them are really different than what we're looking at on a regular basis. And some are pretty funny. Definitely more about life than about crafting, but funny with a capital F. Not funny like Cruise funny, because Cruise is funny in a PG kind of way, like, you know, same kind of thing. She's funny PG. These are not PG. These are like funny R-rated, but they were funny. Who knew that existed? Who knew? Maybe you knew, but I didn't know. I'm excited. I am reading a few names, and some people texted me some names, and I cracked up laughing. I'm learning lots about myself via your suggestions. Please continue to make suggestions until Saturday evening at midnight, my time, so that I can pick one for Sunday. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And also make sure that you're visiting the other collab participants for Spooktacular Halloween. Today's your last chance to get in on that giveaway. And now I have a little bit of a mess to clean up. So when we got back, I also pulled out a bunch of stuff that I've been working on, and I made a bit of a mess. So I have some cleaning to do. Like I said last night, I feel like I talk too much about cleaning, but here it's a going concern. Every time I make something here, I have so much cleaning to do, guys. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to have my craft space back. You know, y'all have to remember, I don't even have a flat surface here. So the floor is my best bet. So I can make an unholy mess very quickly, very, very quickly. And that's in fact what I have going on in the other room. So I've got to do a little tidying, and I am going to upload that video from last night. I'm so sorry it's going to be out of order, but it's shabby, and it's clean shabby, folks. Oh yes, it is. I hope whatever you do today on this Friday, that it is something fun. I hope you have some plans for this weekend that include family or friends or making. Tomorrow we are going off, as we are apt to do. We're going to go spend some time at the beach together and do a little swimming. It's good for my joints, and I need to do a little exercising. I find that, like, sometimes with this disease, if I don't, I get too much buildup in my joints, so I'm excited to go and swim. But I will be back on later tonight, probably after doing a little making. But I hope you do something wonderful and fun this weekend. And I hope whatever it is, that it gives you lots of joy. Tons of joy, folks. All right, take real good care, and I'll be back on later tonight. Bye for now.